Hi, today I'm going to show you guys some common mistakes or problems you face when you use a gimbal. With this one it's very obvious, but still sometimes we forget about it. So in this case, for example, I haven't installed the firmware. It also is a new unit, so this still asks me for an activation. And without the most updated firmware, still this gimbal isn't at its most perfect condition to shoot with. Or you didn't even have prepared your gimbal set up properly and still setting up in the car, like this guy. No, running out of time! Ugh. No! This is actually also a very good tip. So often when we switch between tripod and gimbal shoots on like event shoots, for example, we don't want to lose too much time. You quickly notice that your gimbal is using a different quick release plate than the tripod. And in this case, it's very important to unify all your quick release plates. In my case, for example, I bought this one, a very cheap quick release plate system that I purchased and installed on almost all my rigging systems. So slider, gimbal, tripod. And with this way, I can very quickly switch between all these setups and be very efficient on set. Often we have a quick release plate that's a little bit loose, or there are other issues you need to fix, and it's very important to have your tools with you, especially like this multi-tool, so you can deal with these problems immediately. And when the client sees that and that you're able to immediately deal with these problems, you'll be also looking more professional. Often we like to put a DSLR with a zoom lens onto the gimbal, and when we balance it, we often start with, so let's say Panasonic GH5 with 12 to 35mm, we start to balance it on 12mm and then start shooting. But then we quickly notice, I need a close-up and I need to change to 35. The gimbal itself can hold it without any problems, they're strong enough. But to get the best experience out of it, you should balance the gimbal at the beginning with focal lengths that is somewhere in the middle between both ends on your zoom lens. So in this case, it will be something like 25mm. So then the weight shift to both sides is not as strong. What we do is we just lean it slightly forward and then see, and then adjust a little bit, and that's it. But actually, this is the proper and recommended way of how to balance your pan axis. So in my case, I lock the tilt axis and the roll axis and unlock the pan axis. And then I unlock the adjustment screw and start to balance it. How I do it is I kind of like do it in a more extreme way. I lean it against my belly and then lean it very forward and start balancing like this. And here you can see I'm currently adjusting it till I find the balance. Now this is properly balanced. When you usually shoot these normal gimbal shots, you won't notice, that is true. But as soon as you start doing like low angle shots or those vertigo shots, then you will see that with a more properly adjusted pan axis, you will get better results. Because if you don't, that will waste a lot of time. If you start to plan to use focus module on it, or have a friend of yours to pull your focus wirelessly, then it's definitely important to not forget to always bring the gear ring, and not just for one lens but for all the lenses, because you don't want to detach and attach those gear rings back and forth on these lenses when you switch. So it's very important to know all those modes of your gimbal. F mode is very easy for especially beginners, so it will just do exactly what you want to film and keep the horizon still. The POV mode is very fun to play with. It's a very crazy mode where you can do some extremely creative shots with it. Then you have the V mode, which makes this awesome 360-degree spin. And when you have practice and know these modes very well, when you're on set shooting, it will be way easier to get your creative shots done. Alright, since I've been using a new gimbal on this shoot, the Zhiyun Crane 2S, let's quickly talk about my experience with it. What I noticed was these axis lock are till now the best ones I've seen. These are very easy to toggle and also very solid. One cool feature this gimbal gives you is you can switch between horizontal mode shooting and vertical mode shooting extremely fast. It has two places where you can attach the quick release plate on there. So by default, this gimbal does not come with an extra handle. If you want to do those low angle shots, you might take a little bit more energy than before. But this is more a personal taste difference. Rear motor is blocking the screen, but I actually noticed that there's a possibility to relocate it and make it not block the screen like this. Now I think this gimbal is perfectly suited for people who want to shoot with a camera package that has a cage on there, or for example users for using VMP-CC cameras, because this gimbal is stronger, is not as heavy and big like Zhiyun Crane 3S, but also not too small like Vivo S, so this might be right at the perfect middle ground for you. So yeah, I hope these common gimbal mistakes and also my experience with the Zhiyun Crane 2S helps you for your next shoot. And if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments below. And of course, if you want to see more awesome content like this, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and up to the next one. 再见!